as well.
Ashwini, stay with us. We've also got Anil Rego joining us with a fundamental view on the market, founder and CEO of Right Horizons. Afternoon, Anil. I want to kick it off with the PSU pack, which is, of course, in focus today. The government's finally cleared this controversial PSU buyback program. Do you think on the back of this, the government will get to meet its divestment target of 40,000 crores this fiscal?
I don't see how such a large number can be done in such a short period. So 40,000 crores is something which will also probably suck out some bit of liquidity from the market. So at the same time, I believe maybe the route of going through institutional sales, etc., are an easier sell for the government institutions lapping it up, and also some of the private sector and financial institutions and FIIs. So positive of the process rather than IPOs, because the last few times or the follow-on offerings didn't do very well, and I don't think the government pulled that off very well either. So something like this may be a lot less damaging to price and maybe a good idea, but will it result in huge upsides to some of these stocks? I think we'll have to wait and watch and see once clarity comes in on what the exact policy is.
Ashwini, want your thoughts on two stocks. A, DLF, which is hugely under pressure today, a whole lot of issues as well weighing heavy on the stock, and the other one being BGR Energy, which after the significant run-up, we're seeing profit taking. How long could it last?
Well, DLF broadly remains in this range of about 175 on the downside. Upside is at about 255. I was just thinking that if the Infosys of real estate sector, has such comments about it, what about the others? But I think it will find support around, 190, 195 on DLF. BGR Energy, I think a lot of the rally was because of this order, and now chances are that it could correct towards levels of 290, 300 in case the market weakens further. And that would be a decent level to get into BGR. I think the up move is over and now it should move sideways.
Anil, what about the power pack? Because even though the cabinet today deferred a decision on importing, on imposing import duty on these on power equipment, the fact is that it will happen. And one of the reasons it got deferred is probably because of the non-availability of a few key ministers. The fact is that it will happen. How do you see this impacting some of these power stocks?
So I would really hope for one place where I would like to see reforms actually in the power side, because it is such an unfortunate thing that we need power so desperately, and at the same time, things are not working out for these power companies. Eventually, it will probably impact the investments as well. So definitely, I would think that also the upsides now will start coming in, because I think all these stocks are terribly battered, out of shape. And government also, I think, will be forced to a corner and start coming out with measures, including this, to be able to, I think, free up and probably even capital. How we get capital into these sectors, I think, is something which is a point of concern. So clearly, I think all of these, broadly, I would see some bit of focus. I hope that comes out in the budget there for the power companies, and that should hopefully keep them strong.
Well, acute amount of pain coming in for power equipment makers like L&T as well as BHEL, as the cabinet has deferred its decision. Ashwini, how much more pain for L&T as well as BHEL?
Most stocks tend to correct 50% of the previous move. So if the previous move started from about 900 and L&T went up to 1500, so I think 1200 is about the place where it can get to before it finds a certain decent amount of support.
Okay, and I just want to get you in terms of what is it the market that the market is going to eye out for in terms of trigger, and do you think the next course of direction would be provided by the results of the UP election, or do you think the market is going to solely watch out for what the RBI does in its next meet?
Well, actually, there are three trigger events which are there. One is the interest rate, the elections and the budget as well, almost all coinciding, within a week of each other. So definitely there's going to be a lot of action out there. One would want to see how the UP thing goes out more from a comfort level on that the political scenario is a little stable. Keeping in mind, you have some of the UPA participants who are, not in the best of form with the government at this point. So that would, any negative result there will definitely add more pressure. So I would, at the same time, I think there are a lot of expectations that probably Congress would make some gains there. I think on the rate, on the interest rates, I would see that, with the last GDP numbers and even the core sector data which is coming in, hopefully we'll see a rate cut, this time. And I would really hope for it because I think industry really needs that. And there's some bit of direction that one would want to see there. Of course, a concern will be, on inflation, considering the global oil prices, etc. So the budget, of course, a very tricky one. It's not election year, so freebies may not come in there, but at the same time,
Yes.
Considering the government is under pressure, it may just want to play safe and do something.
All right, Anil Rego and Ashwini Gujral, thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts on the market and those specific stocks. But an important news flashing at the bottom of your screen, the Tata Group is